Have you ever felt like something good was actually something bad hiding? I learned that lesson when I was already old. My name is Margaret Sullivan, and what I'm about to tell you will make you understand why one Tuesday afternoon changed my whole life. It was springtime. The birds were singing outside our kitchen window. Flowers were blooming in the garden Robert loved so much. We were making soup together, just like we'd done for 40 years. Chicken soup with carrots and celery. The smell filled our whole house. Robert was stirring the pot when he suddenly stopped. He looked at me with eyes that seemed worried. "Maggie," he said softly, "I need you to help me with something important." "What is it, dear?" I asked, cutting up an onion. He turned down the stove. "We need to move all our money into just your name. Every single dollar. All 25 million of it." I almost dropped my knife. "What are you talking about? Why would we do that?" He took my hands in his. They felt warm and a little shaky. "Just trust me, sweetheart. Something doesn't feel right at the company. I want you protected." "But Robert, that's our life savings. Everything you built." "That's exactly why," he said quietly. "'Cause I built it. And I want you to have it. No questions asked." The way he looked at me made my stomach feel funny. Not sick, just nervous. Like when you know something bad is coming but you can't see it yet. I laughed a little, trying to make the worry go away. "You're being silly. Nothing's going to happen to us. We're both healthy. We're careful." He smiled, but it wasn't his real smile. The one that made his eyes crinkle up like paper. This was different. "Muller, please, Maggie. Just do this one thing for me. Tomorrow morning. First thing. I'll feel better knowing it's done." I nodded slowly. "Babe, if it makes you happy, I'll do it." He hugged me then. A long, tight hug that lasted maybe too long. When we finished making soup, we ate at our little kitchen table. The one with the yellow tablecloth I'd sewn myself 20 years ago. Robert told stories about when we first met, about our wedding day, about the time we got lost driving to the beach and ended up in a cornfield instead. We laughed until our bellies hurt. That night we watched our favorite show on television. Robert held my hand the whole time. When we went to bed, he kissed my forehead and whispered, "You're the best thing that ever happened to me." I fell asleep feeling safe. Feeling loved. I didn't know those were the last normal moments I'd ever have. Wednesday morning came with sunshine. I made coffee and toast. Robert was already awake, sitting at the computer in his office. "I'll drive you to the bank," he said. "We need to get this done today." "Why the rush?" I asked. He just looked at me. That same worried look from yesterday. "Please, Maggie." So we went. The bank was cold inside. Too much air conditioning. The lady at the desk smiled at us. She knew Robert from all his business over the years. "We need to transfer everything," Robert told her. "All accounts, investments, properties. Everything goes into Margaret's name alone." The lady's smile got smaller. That's a very big change, Mr. Sullivan. Are you sure?" He nodded. "I'm absolutely sure. I have all the papers right here." He pulled out a folder. Inside were documents he'd already signed. Everything was ready. All I had to do was sign my name next to his. The lady printed more papers. She asked questions. She checked things on her computer. Finally she said this will take about 2 hours to process completely. We waited. Robert bought me a cookie from the coffee shop next door. Chocolate chip, my favorite. When it was done, the lady handed me a folder. "Everything's in your name now, Mrs. Sullivan. Every penny." Robert squeezed my hand. "Thank you," he whispered. On the drive home he seemed lighter. Like a heavy backpack had been taken off his shoulders. I tried to ask him again why we did this, but he just turned on the radio and hummed along to an old song. That afternoon Robert went to his office downtown. He said he had a meeting he couldn't miss. I stayed home and watered the garden. Our tomato plants were growing big and green. I picked some strawberries and put them in a bowl for dessert later. Around 4 o'clock my phone rang. It was Robert's assistant, a sweet young woman named Kelly. "Mrs. Sullivan," she said. Her voice sounded strange. "Mr. Sullivan asked me to tell you he'll be home late tonight. There's extra paperwork he needs to finish." That's fine, I said. Tell him dinner will be waiting. There was a pause. Then Kelly said he also wanted me to tell you. He loves you very much. Smiled. I love him too, dear. Tell him I said that. After I hung up, I felt that funny feeling in my stomach again. But I pushed it away. I made Robert's favorite dinner. Meatloaf with mashed potatoes and green beans. I set the table with our nice plates. The ones we only used for special occasions. I lit a candle. Waited. 6 o'clock passed. Then 7. Then 8. Called his cell phone. No answer. Called his office. No answer. By 9 o'clock, I was worried enough to call Kelly again. But before I could dial, my doorbell rang. I opened it expecting to see Robert, maybe having forgotten his keys. Instead, it was 2 police officers. Their faces were serious. Mrs. Sullivan? The woman officer asked. Yes. My heart started beating fast. I'm very sorry, ma'am. Your husband collapsed at his office this evening. He was taken to Memorial Hospital. You need to come right away. The drive to the hospital felt like it took forever and 1 second at the same time. I don't remember most of it. Just lights. Red lights, yellow lights, the bright lights of the emergency room doors. A nurse met me inside. She had kind eyes but a sad mouth. Mrs. Sullivan, she said gently. Your husband had a heart attack. The doctors did everything they could. I felt my legs go weak. Can I see him? She nodded and led me down a hallway. The floors were shiny. Too shiny. Everything smelled like cleaning spray and something else. Something that smelled like sadness. Robert was in a small room. Machines beeped softly. But he wasn't moving. His chest wasn't going up and down like it should. I walked slowly to the bed and touched his hand. It was still warm. But it didn't squeeze back like it always did. Robert. I whispered. Honey, it's me. I'm here. No answer. Just the beeping machines and my own heart breaking into a million pieces. Doctor came in. He had gray hair and tired eyes. Mrs. Sullivan, I'm so sorry. We tried for over 30 minutes. But his heart just stopped. I sat in the chair next to the bed. I held Robert's hand. I couldn't cry yet. The tears were stuck somewhere inside, too shocked to come out. The doctor left me alone with him. I don't know how long I sat there. Maybe an hour. Maybe more. Finally, a different nurse came in. She touched my shoulder. Mrs. Sullivan, she said softly. Is there anyone we can call? Family. He nodded. My son. Thomas. He lives across town. She brought me a phone. My hands shook as I dialed. Thomas answered on the second ring. Mom. What's wrong? I couldn't say the words at first. They felt too big for my mouth. Thomas, I finally managed. It's your father. He's gone. Silence. Then what? What do you mean gone? He had a heart attack at his office. He didn't make it. I'm at Memorial Hospital. I heard him talking to someone in the background. His wife, Patricia. Then he said, we're coming right now. Don't move, Mom. We'll be there in 15 minutes. But 15 minutes turned into an hour. I waited in a small room the nurses called the family area. It had uncomfortable chairs and old magazines nobody wanted to read. When Thomas finally arrived, he wasn't alone. Patricia was with him, of course. But there was also a man in a dark suit carrying a briefcase. Thomas hugged me quickly. Too quickly. Like he was in a hurry. I'm so sorry, Mom, he said. But his voice didn't sound sorry. It sounded busy. Who's this? I asked, looking at the man in the suit. This is Mr. Reynolds, Thomas said. He's our lawyer. I frowned. Why did you bring a lawyer to the hospital? Your father just died. Thomas and Patricia looked at each other. Some kind of secret look I didn't understand. Mr. Reynolds stepped forward. Mrs. Sullivan, please accept my condolences for your loss. However, we need to discuss some urgent matters regarding your husband's estate. Estate. I repeated. He's been gone less than 2 hours. Thomas cleared his throat. Mom, we know this is hard. But we need to talk about Dad's accounts. About the money he transferred to you yesterday. My blood went cold. How did he know about that? I looked at Thomas. really looked at him. His face was calm. Too calm for someone whose father just died. "How do you know about the transfer?" I asked quietly. "Dad's assistant told me," he said. "She was worried. She thought maybe you were influencing him." Influencing him. My voice got louder. "He's my husband. We've been married for 40 years. Patricia touched Thomas's arm. "Maybe we should do this later," she whispered. But Mr. Reynolds opened his briefcase anyway. "Mrs. Sullivan," he said in a voice like cold butter, "we're concerned about the timing of this transfer. $25 million moved into your sole control just one day before your husband's death. Raises questions." "What kind of questions?" "Yes." Thomas finally spoke. "Questions about whether Dad was thinking clearly. Whether he understood what he was doing. Whether someone convinced him to do something he wouldn't normally do." I felt like I'd been slapped. You think I forced your father to give me that money? He was my husband. We shared everything." Thomas's face didn't change. "I'm just saying we need to make sure everything was legal. Proper. Fair. Fair." I stood up. My legs shook, but I didn't care. "Your father is lying in a room down that hall. His body is still warm. And you're here talking about money." Mr. Reynolds pulled out a paper. "I've prepared a temporary hold request," he said. "It will freeze all assets until we can review the circumstances of the transfer. This ensures everyone's interests are protected." I grabbed my purse. "You want to freeze my money? The money your father worked his whole life to build. The money he specifically put in my name." Thomas looked down. "Mom, it's just temporary. Just until we sort things out." I didn't wait to hear more. I walked out of that family room, down the shiny hallway, past the nurse's station, and out the front doors into the night air. It was cool outside. The parking lot lights buzzed like angry bees. I sat on a bench and finally the tears came. Big hot tears that made my whole body shake. Robert was gone. And my son, my only child, had shown up with a lawyer before his father was even cold. I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually a different nurse came out. She had curly red hair and freckles. "Are you okay, honey?" she asked. I shook my head. She sat down next to me. "I saw what happened in there. With your son and that lawyer." She handed me a tissue. "This happens more than you think. When there's money involved, people forget about love. Do you have anyone else you can call? Friend? Another family member?" Thought about it. Then I remembered. Robert's lawyer. Mr. Chin. He'd been Robert's friend since college. They played golf together every Sunday. "I need to call someone," I told the nurse. She helped me stand up and walk me back inside to a phone. I dialed Mr. Chen's number from memory. He answered on the first ring, even though it was almost midnight. "Margaret," he said. "I just heard about Robert. I'm so sorry." "Mr. Chen," I said. "Something's wrong. Something's very wrong." "Tell me," he said. So I did. I told him everything. The transfer, Thomas showing up with a lawyer, the freeze request, all of it. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. I'm coming to get you right now." Mr. Chan arrived at the hospital in 20 minutes. He was still wearing his pajama shirt under his coat. His hair stuck up funny on one side. "Margaret," he said, hugging me. "I'm so sorry about Robert. But I need you to listen carefully." He led me to a corner where we could talk privately. "Robert came to see me 3 days ago. He brought papers. Legal papers." "What kind of papers?" "Yes. Instructions," Mr. Chen said. "Very specific instructions about what to do if something happened to him." "He knew." I whispered. "He knew something was wrong." Mr. Chen nodded. "He suspected something. He wouldn't tell me exactly what. But he said he was worried about Thomas. About the company. About people taking things that didn't belong to them. That's why he wanted everything in your name. He wanted you protected." Felt dizzy. Robert knew. He knew and he tried to protect me. And now Thomas thinks I'm the bad guy. Mr. Chen pulled out his own briefcase. "I have copies of everything. Every paper Robert signed. Every instruction he gave. The transfer to you was completely legal and completely his idea. Your son can't freeze anything without proof of wrongdoing. And there is no wrongdoing. I started crying again. But these were different tears. Not sad tears. Angry tears. How could Thomas do this? How could he care more about money than his own father? Mr. Chen's face got hard. I'm going to find out. Starting tomorrow, we're going to investigate exactly what's been happening at your husband's company. Because Robert didn't just suspect problems. He found them. Real problems. With real evidence. And I think, Mr. Chen said quietly, your son knows exactly what that evidence says. I didn't go home that night. Mr. Chen took me to his house. His wife, Linda, made me tea and gave me their guest room. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Robert's face. The way he looked at me over the soup pot. The way he said, just trust me. He'd been trying to save me from something. Something bigger than I understood. Thursday morning, Linda made breakfast. Scrambled eggs and toast. I couldn't eat much. Mr. Chen came downstairs with a stack of folders. Robert kept detailed records, he said. Very detailed. He showed me papers. Financial papers with lots of numbers and words I didn't really understand. But Mr. Chen explained them slowly. Your husband's company made medical equipment, right? He nodded. Wheelchairs, hospital beds, things like that. Mr. Chen pointed to a page. Over the past 2 years, someone has been stealing money from the company. Slowly, carefully, small amounts at a time so nobody would notice right away. But it adds up to almost $3 million. My mouth fell open. Who would do that? Mr. Chen turned to another page. This one had Thomas's signature at the bottom. It looks like your son, he said quietly. Along with someone else. He showed me another signature. Patricia Sullivan. My daughter-in-law. Felt sick. Thomas and Patricia were stealing from Robert. From their own family. Mr. Chen nodded. Robert discovered it about a month ago. He hired a private investigator. The proof is solid. He was planning to confront them, but he wanted to protect you first. That's why he moved everything into your name. So if something happened, you'd be safe. What do you mean if something happened? Yes. Mr. Chen's face looked sad and angry at the same time. Margaret, I need to ask you something. Was Robert taking any new medicine lately? Thought about it. Yes, I said. About 3 weeks ago, Patricia brought him some vitamins. She said they were special ones that would help his heart stay strong. She bought them at some fancy health store. Mr. Chen wrote that down. Do you still have the bottle? Think so. It's in the bathroom cabinet at home. We need to get it, he said. Today. And we need to have it tested. Tested for what? Yes. But I think I already knew. The sick feeling in my stomach got worse. Mr. Chen called someone on his phone. A friend who was a police detective. They talked in quiet voices. When he hung up, he looked at me. Detective Morrison is going to meet us at your house in an hour. He'll collect the vitamin bottle as evidence. Evidence of what? I asked, even though I didn't want to hear the answer. Mr. Chen took my hand. Margaret, I think Robert's heart attack wasn't natural. I think someone made it happen. The room started spinning. I grabbed the table to steady myself. You think Thomas? I couldn't finish the sentence. I don't know for sure, Mr. Chen said. But we're going to find out. We drove to my house. The garden looked the same. The flowers still bloomed. The tomatoes still grew. But everything felt different. Well, like the house belonged to someone else now. Detective Morrison was already there, waiting in his car. He was a big man with a mustache. He shook my hand gently. Mrs. Sullivan, I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you, I whispered. We went inside. The house smelled like the meatloaf I'd made yesterday. The meatloaf Robert never got to eat. His plate was still on the table where I'd left it. I led them to the bathroom. The vitamin bottle was exactly where I remembered. A tall brown bottle with a white label that said, Heart Health Formula. Detective Morrison put on plastic gloves before touching the bottle. He held it up to the light. How many did your husband take? He asked. Patricia said 2 every morning, I answered. With breakfast. The detective looked at Mr. Chen. We'll rush this to the lab. If there's anything unusual in here, we'll know by tomorrow afternoon. After they left, I sat alone in my kitchen. The same kitchen where Robert and I had made soup just 2 days ago. 2 days. That's all it had been. 2 days since my husband told me to trust him. 2 days since he tried to save me. 2 days since everything fell apart. My phone rang. It was Thomas. Mom, where are you? He asked. I've been trying to reach you. I didn't answer. Mom, are you okay? You need to talk to me. Finally spoke. Why did you bring a lawyer to the hospital, Thomas? There was a pause. Told you. We need to make sure everything's handled correctly. Your father worked hard for that money. We need to protect it. From who? Yes. From me. I'm your mother. I was married to your father for 40 years. Another pause. Look, can we meet? Talk about this calmly. I don't think so, I said. Not until you tell me the truth. What truth? The truth about the money missing from your father's company. The phone went silent. Completely silent. I could hear my own breathing. Finally Thomas said, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Hung up. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I'd never spoken to my son like that before. Never accused him of anything. Never hung up on him. But something inside me had changed. The mother who trusted everyone was gone. Robert's death had burned her away. Friday morning brought rain. Gray skies and water dripping down the windows. I still hadn't slept properly. Every time I tried, I saw Robert's face. Heard his voice. Felt his warm hand in mine. Mr. Chen called early. The lab results are back, he said. And I held my breath. You need to come to my office. I drove through the rain. The windshield wipers squeaked back and forth. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Like they were crying. Mr. Chen's office was in a tall building downtown. His secretary brought me coffee I didn't drink. When I walked into his office, Detective Morrison was already there. Mrs. Sullivan, the detective said. Sit down, please. Sat. My heart was pounding so loud I thought they could hear it. The vitamins your husband was taking weren't vitamins, Detective Morrison said. They contained digitalis. Plant-based poison. In small doses over time it causes heart problems. Eventually it causes heart attacks. The room got very cold. Or maybe it was just me. Someone poisoned my husband. I whispered. The detective nodded. And based on what Mr. Chan has shown me about the missing money, and the fact that your daughter-in-law gave him these pills, we have enough to investigate further. Mr. Chen leaned forward. Margaret, I need to ask. Did Patricia have access to your husband's office? His papers? Thought about it. She visited sometimes. Brought him lunch. She said she wanted to help with filing since he was so busy. The detective and Mr. Chen looked at each other. That's how she did it, Mr. Chen said. She had access. She could see his financial records. She knew he was getting close to discovering the theft. So she gave him poison disguised as vitamins. And everyone would think it was just a heart attack. Just an old man whose heart gave out. I started crying. Not quiet tears. Big loud sobs that made my whole chest hurt. My son's wife murdered my husband. And my son helped her cover it up. Detective Morrison handed me tissues. We're going to arrest them both, he said. Today. But I need you to be strong. Can you do that? I wiped my eyes. What do you need me to do? We need you to call Thomas, the detective said. Tell him you want to talk. Tell him you're ready to discuss the money. Get him to come to your house. We'll be waiting. Felt like a trap. 'Cause it was a trap. But Robert deserved justice. So I called. Thomas answered immediately. Mom. Yeah, I said. My voice shook but I tried to control it. You're right. We should talk. About the money. About everything. His voice changed. Got lighter. Relieved. That's great, Mom. Really great. When? Today, I said. Come to the house at 3 o'clock. Just you and Patricia. We'll figure this out together. He agreed quickly. Too quickly. I hung up and looked at the detective. They're coming. Good, he said. Mr. Chen will be there too. And 2 other officers will be outside in an unmarked car. When they arrive, just act normal. Let them inside. We'll handle the rest. Normal. I didn't even know what normal meant anymore. I drove home through rain that had turned into a storm. Lightning flashed. Thunder boomed. Felt like the sky was angry too. At 3 o'clock exactly, Thomas's car pulled into my driveway. He and Patricia got out. They were both dressed nicely, like they were going somewhere important instead of coming to destroy their mother. I opened the door before they could knock. Come in, I said. My voice sounded strange even to me. They stepped inside, shaking rain from their coats. Mom, Thomas said. Thank you for calling. I know this week has been hard. I led them to the living room. The room where Robert used to read his newspaper every evening. His reading glasses were still on the side table. I haven't moved them. Couldn't move them. Sit down, I said. They sat on the couch. I sat across from them in Robert's chair. Still smelled like him. Patricia smiled. A fake smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mrs. Sullivan, we want you to know we're not trying to hurt you. We just want what's fair. Fair, I repeated. That's an interesting word. Thomas leaned forward. The money Dad transferred needs to be split. Half for you, half for me. That's the fair thing. Why? Yes. Your father put it all in my name. He wanted me to have it. Thomas's face got tight. Dad wasn't thinking clearly at the end. He was sick. Confused. He was thinking perfectly clear, I said. Clear enough to know you were stealing from him. The room went silent. Even the rain outside seemed to stop for a second. Patricia's fake smile disappeared. I don't know what you're talking about, Thomas said. But his voice shook. $3 million, I said. Taken slowly over 2 years. From the company accounts. Hidden in fake invoices and made-up expenses. Thomas stood up. Who told you that? That's not true. Sit down, Thomas. The voice came from the hallway. Detective Morrison stepped into the room. Behind him was another officer. And behind them was Mr. Chen. Thomas's face went white. What is this? This is an arrest, the detective said. Thomas Sullivan and Patricia Sullivan, you're being arrested for embezzlement, fraud, and suspicion of murder. Murder? Patricia's voice was high and scared. We didn't murder anyone. The vitamin pills you gave Robert Sullivan contained digitalis poison, Detective Morrison said. He pulled out the brown bottle, now in a plastic evidence bag. Your fingerprints are all over this bottle, Mrs. Sullivan. And we have witnesses who saw you purchase it from a specialty shop that sells herb products, including poisonous ones. Patricia started crying. I didn't know it would kill him, she sobbed. I just wanted to make him sick. So he'd stop looking at the book so carefully. Thomas grabbed her arm. Shut up. Don't say anything. But she couldn't stop. She was too scared. It was your idea, she said to Thomas. You said we had to do something before he found all the missing money. You said a little bit wouldn't hurt him. Just make him foggy. Thomas, the detective said. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. My son looked at me then. Really looked at me for the first time since he'd arrived. Mom, he said. I didn't mean for him to die. Just what? Yes. My voice was cold. Hard. A voice I didn't recognize. Just wanted to steal from him. Just wanted to hurt him. Just wanted his money before he could stop you. Tears ran down Thomas's face. Sorry. Those 2 words hung in the air. Useless. Too late. Sorry doesn't bring back your father, I said. The officers put handcuffs on both of them. Cold silver handcuffs that clicked shut with a sound I'll never forget. Patricia was crying loudly now. Begging. Please, Mrs. Sullivan. Please don't do this. We can fix this. Thomas said nothing else. Just stared at the floor as they led him out. Through the door. Into the rain. Into a police car that drove away with my only child inside. After they left, I sat in Robert's chair. Mr. Chen sat down across from me. Are you okay? He asked. I don't know, I said honestly. I just helped arrest my own son. You helped get justice for your husband, Mr. Chen said gently. There's a difference. The trial happened 6 weeks later. I sat in the courtroom every single day. Watched as lawyers talked. As witnesses testified. As evidence was shown on big screens for everyone to see. The vitamin bottle. The financial records. The statements from Robert's assistant who said she'd seen Patricia in his office going through his files. Thomas's lawyer tried to say it was all a misunderstanding. That the poison was an accident. That they never meant to hurt anyone. But the jury didn't believe him. Neither did the judge. On the final day, the judge looked down at Thomas and Patricia from her high bench. She was an older woman with silver hair and kind but stern eyes. The evidence is clear, she said. You stole from a man who trusted you. You poisoned him when he got close to discovering your crimes. And then you tried to steal from his widow. Thomas Sullivan, I sentence you to 20 years in prison for embezzlement, fraud, and manslaughter. Patricia Sullivan, I sentence you to 18 years for the same crimes. I watched my son's face when he heard those words. 20 years. He'd be an old man when he got out. Older than I am now. Patricia collapsed into her chair, sobbing. But Thomas just stood there. Ill. Silent. As they led him away, he looked back at me one time. Eyes met. I don't know what he expected to see. Forgiveness, maybe. Love. The mother who used to kiss his scraped knees and make him cookies. But that mother was gone. Killed just as surely as Robert had been killed. After the trial ended, Mr. Chen helped me with all the legal paperwork. The company. The accounts. The house. Everything Robert had wanted me to have. It's all yours now, Mr. Chen said. Free and clear. No freezes. No holds. No questions. What am I supposed to do with $25 million? Yes. Live, he said simply. The way Robert wanted you to. But living felt strange now. The house was too big. Too quiet. I started spending time in the garden. Robert's garden. The tomatoes kept growing. The flowers kept blooming. Life kept going even when it felt like it shouldn't. One afternoon I was pulling weeds when I found something. A small notebook buried in the dirt near the rose bushes. It was wet and dirty, but I could still read Robert's handwriting inside. The first page said, "For Maggie. In case I don't get to say goodbye properly." My hands shook as I turned the pages. It was full of letters. Short letters Robert had written to me. Dear Maggie, one said. If you're reading this, it means I was right to worry. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you everything. I didn't want to scare you. But I knew Thomas was taking money. I hired someone to investigate. The proof is solid. I wanted to confront him, but I was afraid. Not for me. For you. If something happens to me, you need to know the truth. Our son chose money over family. He chose greed over love. That's not the boy we raised. That's not the man I wanted him to become. But it's who he is now. And you need to be safe from him. That's why I moved everything to your name. Not because I don't trust you, but because I trust you more than anyone in the world. You're strong, Maggie. Stronger than you know. I read every letter. Some made me cry. Some made me angry. Some made me smile because they were full of memories. The time we got caught in the rain on our first date. The time I burned Thanksgiving dinner and we ate peanut butter sandwiches instead. The time we danced in the kitchen to no music at all. The last letter was different. Longer. Dear Maggie, it said. I've been thinking about legacy. What we leave behind when we're gone. I used to think legacy was money. Buildings. Companies with your name on them. But I was wrong. Legacy is love. The way you made me feel every single day for 40 years. The way you never gave up on people, even when they gave up on themselves. The way you saw good in everyone, even when they didn't deserve it. That's real legacy. And you have more of it than anyone I've ever known. If I'm gone, please don't let this situation with Thomas make you bitter. Don't let it steal your kindness. The world needs more people like you. Not more money. Not more companies. More Maggies. Love you. I've loved you since the day we met. I'll love you even after I'm gone. Because love doesn't die when people do. Just changes shape. Becomes memory. Becomes the warmth you feel when you think of someone. Becomes the reason you keep going. Be happy, my darling. Chocolate. Watch the sunrise. Talk to the flowers. They listen better than most people anyway. And know that everything I did to keep you safe. Because you're the most precious thing I ever had. All my love forever and always, Robert. I closed the notebook and pressed it against my chest. Tears ran down my face and into the dirt. Robert had known. He'd known everything. And he'd still tried to protect me until his very last breath. I stayed in the garden until the sun started setting. The sky turned orange, then pink, then purple. Beautiful colors that Robert would have loved. That night I couldn't sleep again. But this time it was different. Not sad insomnia. Something else. I went to Robert's office and opened the files Mr. Chen had given me. All the financial records. The company documents. The accounts. I spent the whole night reading. Learning. Understanding. By morning I had a plan. I called Mr. Chen. I need your help, I said. With what? I want to do something with the money. Something Robert would like. Something good. Over the next month we worked together. We set up a foundation. The Robert Sullivan Foundation for Medical Equipment Accessibility. The foundation's job was simple. Give free wheelchairs, hospital beds, and medical equipment to people who couldn't afford them. People like the ones Robert had always wanted to help but never had quite enough time to reach. We used $5 million to start. That left $20 million for me to live on. More than enough for someone who just wanted to tend her garden and remember her husband. The foundation opened on what would have been Robert's 72nd birthday. We had a small ceremony. Mr. Chen was there. Linda was there. Some of Robert's old friends from work came. Even Kelly, his assistant, showed up with flowers. Gave a short speech. I'm not good at speeches, but I tried. My husband, I said, spent his whole life building things. Company. Home. Family. Some of those things lasted. Some didn't. But the most important thing he built was love. And love is the only thing that can't be stolen or destroyed or frozen in a bank account. This foundation will help people the way Robert always wanted to help them. With kindness. With generosity. With no questions asked about whether they deserve it. Because Robert believed everyone deserves dignity. Everyone deserves help. And I believe that too. People clapped. Some cried. We gave away our first 3 wheelchairs that day to families who'd been waiting months to afford them. One was for a little girl named Sophie who had bright red hair and couldn't walk on her own. When her mother pushed her in that new wheelchair for the first time, Sophie laughed so loud it filled the whole room. That laugh, I thought, is what Robert worked for. Not millions of dollars. Not a big house. Pure joy from a child who could finally move freely. After the ceremony I went home. The house was still too quiet, but it felt different now. Like it had purpose again. Like the walls remembered why Robert had worked so hard. I made myself dinner. A soup. Simple chicken soup like Robert and I used to make together. I set 2 bowls on the table. One for me. One for the empty chair across from me. I know you can't eat it, I said to the empty chair. But I made it anyway. Just in case you're watching. I think you'd be proud of what we did today. What I did. For you. Ate slowly. The soup was good. Warm. Tasted like home. Like memories. Like 40 years of love in a single bowl. That night I finally slept. Really slept. Not the light, worried sleep I'd been having. Deep sleep. The kind where you don't dream, you just rest. When I woke up the next morning, sunlight was streaming through the bedroom window. Birds were singing. The world looked brighter somehow. After I got dressed and went to the garden. The tomatoes needed picking. The flowers needed watering. Work that made my hands dirty and my heart lighter. As I worked, I heard a car pull up in the driveway. For a moment my stomach tightened. Was it Thomas somehow? But no. He was in prison where he belonged. I walked around to the front of the house. A young woman was getting out of a small blue car. She looked nervous. Can I help you? Yes. She jumped a little, startled. Mrs. Sullivan. Yes. My name is Amanda Chen. I'm Mr. Chen's daughter. You're Vincent's daughter. She nodded. He told me about you. About what you've been through. About the foundation you started. I'm a physical therapist. I work with kids who need medical equipment. Kids like Sophie. Smiled. Sophie's wonderful. Her laugh could light up a whole city. Amanda smiled back. That's why I'm here. I want to volunteer. For the foundation. Help families get the equipment they need. Show them how to use it properly. Make sure the kids are comfortable. Robert's foundation needed volunteers. Good people who cared more about helping than about getting paid. Are you sure? Yes. It doesn't pay anything. I know, Amanda said. But some things are more important than money. I learned that from watching what happened to your family. I'm sorry about your son. But I'm grateful you chose to do something beautiful instead of something bitter. We talked for an hour. She had so many ideas. So much energy. So much hope. By the time she left, we'd planned 3 more equipment deliveries and a workshop for families to learn about caring for their loved ones at home. That night, I wrote in a journal for the first time in years. Robert, I wrote. I met someone today who reminded me why we do hard things. Not because they're easy. Not because they make us rich. But because they're right. You always knew that. You knew that love matters more than money. That people matter more than profits. That doing the right thing is its own reward. I miss you every single day. But I'm not alone. Your love is still here. In this house. In the garden. In the foundation. In every person we help. You built something that will last forever. Not a company. Something better. Oh. The weeks turned into months. Summer came. The garden exploded with color. Roses, daisies, sunflowers as tall as me. I spent my mornings working outside and my afternoons at the foundation office we'd rented downtown. It was small. Just 3 rooms. But it was enough. Amanda became the foundation's first full-time volunteer. Then others joined. A retired nurse named Barbara. A college student named Marcus who was studying social work. A man named James who'd lost his wife to cancer and wanted to help others the way people had helped him. We became a family. Not related by blood. Related by purpose. Every week we helped more people. A grandfather who needed a hospital bed at home. A teenager who needed crutches after a car accident. A mother with multiple sclerosis who needed a special chair. Each person had a story. Each story mattered. One afternoon Mr. Chen stopped by the office. He looked tired but happy. Margaret, he said. Have news. What kind of news? The kind you need to hear. We sat in my tiny office. He pulled out some papers. Robert's company has been sold, he said. The board voted last week. A medical supply corporation bought it for $18 million. $18 million. That's on top of what you already have. Robert's legacy just kept growing. I didn't know what to say. Mr. Chen continued. The money will be transferred to your account next week. But I have a suggestion. What? Give it away, he said simply. All of it. Put it into the foundation. Help thousands of people instead of just hundreds. You don't need it. You already have more than enough. I thought about it for maybe 3 seconds. Okay, I said. Let's do it. Mr. Chen smiled. Robert chose well when he married you. The foundation grew. With $18 million we could help people all over the state. Then all over the region. Within a year, we were shipping medical equipment to families in 12 different states. But I never forgot why we started. Never forgot Robert's last words in that letter. Don't let it make you bitter. One day, 2 years after Robert's death, I got a letter in the mail. Prison mail. From Thomas. My hands shook when I saw his name. I almost threw it away without reading it. But something made me open it. Dear Mom, it said in handwriting that looked older somehow. Akir. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to write back. I just need you to know something. I was wrong. About everything. I let greed poison my heart the same way Patricia's pills poisoned Dad. I destroyed our family for money I didn't even need. Money that's gone now anyway. Every night in here I think about Dad. About the way he used to take me fishing when I was little. About how he taught me to ride a bike and tie my shoes and be honest. Be honest. That's what he always said. And I forgot. I became someone he wouldn't recognize. Someone I don't recognize. I'm sorry doesn't fix anything. I know that. But I'm sorry anyway. Sorry for what I did to Dad. Sorry for what I did to you. Sorry for being the kind of son who valued dollars more than family. I heard about the foundation. One of the guards here told me. His sister got a wheelchair from you. He said you're helping hundreds of people. Maybe thousands. He said you're a hero. I always knew you were. I just forgot to act like it mattered. I won't ask you to visit. I won't ask you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that Dad's death taught me something that 20 years in prison will finish teaching me. Love is the only thing worth having. And I threw it away. Sorry, Mom. Your son, Thomas. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer in Robert's desk, next to the notebook he'd buried in the garden. I didn't write back. Not yet. Maybe someday. Maybe never. But I kept the letter because it was honest. And Robert always said honesty matters. Even when it comes too late. The foundation continued to grow. By year 3, we'd helped over 5,000 families. By year 5, over 20,000. Each number represented a person. Life changed. A burden lifted. I was 72 years old now. My hair had gone completely white. My hands hurt sometimes from arthritis. But every morning I still got up. Still went to the garden. Still went to the foundation office. Still helped people. One spring morning, Amanda came to my house instead of meeting me at the office. She looked excited. Mrs. Sullivan, she said. I have something to show you. What is it? She pulled out her phone and showed me a video. It was Sophie. The little girl with red hair who'd gotten one of our first wheelchairs. But she wasn't in a wheelchair anymore. She was standing. Walking. Slowly, carefully, holding on to parallel bars. But walking. How? I whispered. Physical therapy, Amanda said with tears in her eyes. 3 years of hard work. Her family couldn't have afforded it without the foundation's help. We paid for her therapy sessions. Her leg braces. Everything. And now look at her. I watched the video again. Sophie was smiling. That same bright smile from the day we'd given her the wheelchair. But now she was moving on her own. Taking steps. Small steps. A step. This is why we do it, Amanda said softly. This is what Robert's money is really buying. Not equipment. Miracles. Hugged her. We both cried happy tears. Later that day, I went to the cemetery where Robert was buried. I hadn't been in a while. Life had gotten busy. But I needed to tell him about Sophie. His gravestone was simple. Just his name, his dates, and the words he'd asked for in his will. He loved well. I sat on the grass next to his grave. The grass was soft and green. Spring grass that smelled like rain and earth. Hi honey, I said. Sorry it's been a while. I've been busy. But you'd like why I've been busy. I told him about Sophie. About the 20,000 families. About the letter from Thomas. About how the foundation had grown bigger than either of us had imagined. You were right, I said. About everything. About moving the money. About protecting me. About Thomas. You saw things I didn't want to see. And you loved me enough to make sure I'd be okay when you were gone. The wind picked up slightly, rustling the leaves in the trees nearby. It almost sounded like a voice. Like Robert saying, I know, sweetheart. I know. I miss you every day, I continued. But I'm not sad anymore. Not the way I was. I'm grateful. Grateful for 40 years. Grateful you taught me that love matters more than anything else. Grateful you trusted me with everything you built. I stood up slowly. My knees creaked a little. Getting old wasn't fun, but it beat the alternative. I love you, Robert Sullivan, I said. Always have. Always will. I walked back to my car. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Beautiful colors. The kind Robert would have stopped to admire. That night I made myself dinner again. Soup again. Still set 2 bowls. One for me. One for the memory of him. But this time I didn't feel sad. Felt peaceful. Complete. Like I'd finally figured out what Robert had been trying to tell me that day over the soup pot. Just to be safe didn't mean hide the money. Meant use it the right way. Protect it from people who'd waste it. Give it to someone who'd turn it into something beautiful. He'd trusted me with his life's work. And I'd turned it into his life's meaning. The years continued to pass. I turned 75. 80. The foundation outlived my original dreams. We opened offices in 15 states. Helped over 100,000 families. Trained hundreds of volunteers. Changed countless lives. Amanda took over as director when I got too old to manage the daily work. But I still came to the office once a week. Still sat in on meetings. Still approved every big decision. One day, Amanda came to me with an unusual request. "Mrs. Sullivan," she said, "we've been contacted by a journalist. She wants to write a story about the foundation. About you and Robert. About everything that happened." I frowned. "I don't want to be in a story." "It's not about fame," Amanda said gently. "It's about inspiring other people. Showing them that even terrible things can lead to beautiful outcomes." Thought about it. What would Robert want? "Tell her okay," I finally said. "But make sure she gets the important part right." "What's the important part?" "That love wins," I said. "Even when it looks like greed won. Even when it looks like evil won. In the end, love always wins." The article came out 2 months later. It was long. Honest. It told about Robert's business. About Thomas's theft. About the poison. About the trial. About the foundation. About the $25 million that became help for over 100,000 people. The headline read, "How One Woman Turned Her Husband's Murder into a Legacy of Love." I didn't love the headline. Too dramatic. But the article itself was good. Fair. True. After it published, letters started arriving at the foundation. Hundreds of them. From people who'd been helped. From people who wanted to volunteer. From people who wanted to donate. From people who just wanted to say thank you. One letter stood out. It was from a prison. But not from Thomas. From Patricia. "Dear Mrs. Sullivan," it said. "I don't deserve your attention. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't even deserve to be alive after what I did. But I read about the foundation in a magazine someone left in the prison library. And I had to write. I think about Mr. Sullivan every single day. About how kind he was. About how he never treated me like I wasn't good enough, even though I came from nothing. About how he welcomed me into your family. And I repaid that kindness with poison. With murder. With greed. There's no excuse. No explanation that makes it okay. I was wrong. Completely, terribly wrong. But seeing what you've done with his money, with his legacy, it helps somehow. Doesn't erase what I did. Nothing can erase it. But it shows that good can come from evil. That love can grow even in soil poisoned by hate. I'll spend the rest of my life in here. I deserve that. But knowing that Mr. Sullivan's death led to something beautiful instead of just something sad makes it slightly more bearable. Thank you for being stronger than I ever was. Thank you for choosing love when you had every right to choose hate. You're the person I wish I'd been. Sincerely, Patricia Sullivan. I read that letter 5 times. Then I did something I didn't expect to do. I wrote back. "Dear Patricia," I wrote. "What you did was unforgivable. I won't pretend it wasn't. You took away the man I loved. You destroyed my family. You chose greed over goodness. But Robert taught me something important. He taught me that holding on to hate only poisons the person holding it. You're already in prison. You're already paying for what you did. Me hating you won't bring Robert back. It won't make anything better. It'll just make me bitter. So I'm not going to hate you. I'm going to pity you. Because you had something precious, a family who loved you, and you threw it away for money. That's the saddest thing I can imagine. The foundation will continue. We'll keep helping people. We'll keep turning Robert's money into miracles. And someday when you get out, if you ever get out, I hope you spend whatever life you have left helping people too. Not to earn forgiveness. You can't earn that. but to prove that even people who do terrible things can change. Robert believed people could change. I'm choosing to believe it too. Margaret Sullivan. I mailed the letter. I don't know if it helped Patricia, but it helped me. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Doesn't mean what she did was okay. It just means I'm not going to let her actions control my heart anymore. On my 82nd birthday, the foundation threw me a small party. Just the volunteers and a few families we'd helped. There was cake. Cheap cake from the grocery store bakery. Robert would have laughed at how simple it was. Sophie was there. She was 14 now. Tall and strong. She walked up to me without any help. No wheelchair. No crutches. Just her own 2 feet. "Mrs. Sullivan," she said. "I made you something." She handed me a drawing. It was a picture of a garden. Flowers everywhere. Bright, happy colors. In the middle of the garden stood 2 people holding hands. One was labeled Robert. One was labeled Margaret. Above them in big letters she'd written, "Love grows forever." I started crying. Happy tears. Grateful tears. Sophie hugged me. "Thank you for my legs," she whispered. I hugged her back. "Thank you for reminding me why they matter." That night, I went home to my quiet house. The house that wasn't too big anymore. Wasn't too quiet anymore. It was just right. I sat in Robert's chair in the living room. The leather was worn now. Comfortable. On the table beside me sat 3 things. The notebook from the garden. The letter from Thomas. The drawing from Sophie. 3 pieces of paper that told the whole story. Regret. I picked up the notebook and read Robert's words one more time. Love doesn't die when people do. It just changes shape. He was right. Our love had changed shape. It wasn't dinners together anymore. Wasn't holding hands anymore. Wasn't making soup together anymore. But it was still here. In every wheelchair we gave away. In every family we helped. In every life we changed. That was love too. Different. But just as real. I fell asleep in that chair. When I woke up, it was morning. Sunlight streamed through the windows. Birds sang outside. The smell of flowers drifted in from the garden. I made myself coffee and toast. Simple breakfast. The kind Robert and I used to share. As I ate, I thought about everything that had happened. 5 years since that dinner. 5 years since Robert told me to transfer the money. 5 years since my world fell apart and rebuilt itself into something I never expected. The doorbell rang. I shuffled to the door, my old knees complaining with each step. It was Mr. Chen. He looked older too. His hair was completely white now. Gray lines creased his face. But his smile was the same. "Margaret," he said, "I have something for you." "What now?" I asked, laughing. "You're always bringing me papers. This is different." He handed me a thick envelope. Inside was a legal document. Lots of big words I had to squint to read. Mr. Chen helped. "The state wants to honor you," he said. "They're creating an award. The Robert Sullivan Award for Community Service. It'll be given every year to someone who helps others without expecting anything back. The first recipient," he continued, "is you." I shook my head. "I don't need an award." "I know," Mr. Chen said. "That's exactly why you deserve it." The ceremony was held at the State Capitol building. Big fancy building with marble floors and high ceilings. I wore a simple blue dress. The same one I'd worn to Robert's funeral. Felt right. The governor gave a speech. Talked about community. About service. About how one person can change the world if they choose love over hate. Then she called my name. I walked up to the stage slowly. Each step felt important. Heavy. When I reached the microphone, I looked out at the crowd. Hundreds of people. Some I knew. Most I didn't. Cleared my throat. My voice shook a little. "I'm not good at speeches," I said. "But I want to tell you something important. 5 years ago, my husband was murdered by our son and daughter-in-law. They wanted his money. They got his money by putting poison in his vitamins. They almost got away with it. When I found out the truth, I had a choice. I could let the hate eat me alive. I could spend the rest of my life angry and bitter and sad. Or I could do what Robert would have wanted. Turn something terrible into something beautiful. Chose beautiful. Not because I'm special. Not because I'm a hero. But because Robert taught me that love is stronger than hate. Always. Every time. No exceptions. The foundation we built has helped over 100,000 families now. 100,000. That's 100,000 reasons to choose love. 100,000 reasons to believe that good can come from evil. 100,000 reasons to keep going even when it's hard. Pause. The room was completely silent. This award has my husband's name on it. But it really belongs to him. He's the one who built something worth protecting. I just made sure it went to the right people. If you want to honor Robert Sullivan, don't put his name on a plaque. Put his values in your heart. Help someone who can't help themselves. Love someone even when it's hard. Choose kindness when anger would be easier. That's the real award. That's the real legacy. Thank you. People clap. Some stood up. The governor shook my hand. Cameras flashed. But I barely noticed. I was thinking about Robert. About how proud he'd be. Not of the award. Of the choice. After the ceremony I went back home. The house welcomed me like an old friend. Familiar. Comfortable. I made dinner. Soup, of course. Still set 2 bowls. One for me. One for Robert's memory. As I ate, I looked around the kitchen. The same kitchen where this whole story started. The same table where Robert told me to transfer the money. The same spot where everything changed. But it didn't feel haunted anymore. Felt peaceful. Full of good memories instead of painful ones. That night I wrote in my journal. The last entry I'd ever need to write. Dear Robert, I wrote. Kept my promise. Kept everything safe. Not locked in a bank. Not hidden away. Safe in the hands of people who need it. Safe in the hearts of families we've helped. Safe in the legacy you left behind. Thomas is still in prison. He writes sometimes. Short letters that say sorry over and over. I don't write back often. Maybe once a year. I tell him about the foundation. About the people we've helped. About how his father's money is doing more good than he ever could have imagined. I don't know if he really understands. But I hope someday he will. Patricia writes too. Her letters are longer. Bitter. Full of regret. I write back to her more often. Not because I've forgiven her. But because Robert taught me that everyone deserves a chance to become better. Even people who've done terrible things. The foundation is in good hands. Amanda runs it now. She's better at it than I ever was. Younger. More energy. More ideas. But she understands what you wanted. She knows it's not about the money. It's about the love. I'm 82 years old now. My body is tired. My hands shake. My knees hurt. Some days I can barely get out of bed. But I'm not done yet. Not until I know the foundation will keep going after I'm gone. You asked me to keep it safe. And I will. Until my very last breath. Just like you did. I love you, Robert Sullivan. I'll love you until the day I die. And even after that. Because love doesn't die. You taught me that. Just changes shape. All my love forever and always, Maggie. I closed the journal and put it in Robert's desk drawer. Next to his notebook. Next to Thomas's letters. Next to Sophie's drawing. The complete story. Beginning, middle, and end. The next morning I woke up feeling different. Not sick. Not sad. Just ready. Ready for whatever came next. I made my coffee. Fed the birds on the back porch. Watered the garden. Normal things. Good things. Around noon Amanda called. Mrs. Sullivan, she said. Her voice was excited. We just got a huge donation. Anonymous. $5 million. $5 million. Who would give that much? I don't know, she said. The note just said, in memory of Robert Sullivan. Use it well. Tears filled my eyes. Someone out there had been watching. Someone had been inspired. Someone had chosen to continue what we started. That's beautiful, I whispered. That's exactly what Robert would have wanted. We talked for a few more minutes about how to use the money. More equipment. More states. More families. More hope. After I hung up, I sat in Robert's chair. The afternoon sun warmed my face. I closed my eyes and felt completely, perfectly at peace. I did it, Robert, I whispered. I turned your death into something beautiful. I turned our love into something that will last forever. The clock on the wall ticked softly. Steady. Reliable. Just like Robert had been. Just like our love had been. Just like the foundation would continue to be. That evening, as the sun set, I walked through the garden one last time. Touched each flower. Said goodbye to each plant. Not because I knew I was dying, but because I wanted to appreciate them while I still could. The roses were blooming. Big, beautiful red roses. Robert's favorite. I picked one and brought it inside. Put it in a small vase on the kitchen table. Right between my soup bowl and his empty one. Tomorrow the foundation would help more families. Tomorrow Sophie would walk a little farther. Tomorrow Amanda would change more lives. Tomorrow love would keep winning. But tonight it was just me. And the memory of Robert. And the peace that comes from knowing you did the right thing. Even when it was hard. Even when it hurt. Even when it cost everything. 3 years later I turned 85. The foundation celebrated its 8th anniversary. We'd helped over 200,000 families by then. 200,000 lives changed by the money Robert had earned and I'd protected. The number was so big I couldn't quite understand it. But each number was a person, name, story, that made it real. My health was failing now. The doctors said my heart was weak. Worn out from 85 years of beating. It's time to rest, one doctor told me gently. Smiled. I've been resting, I said. I've been at peace for years now. That's a different kind of rest. He didn't understand. But I did. Robert had taught me. Peace isn't about stopping. It's about knowing you're doing what you're supposed to do. Amanda visited me at home every day now. She'd bring files from the foundation. Ask my opinion on decisions. Tell me stories about the families we'd helped. One afternoon, she arrived with a young man I didn't recognize. Mrs. Sullivan, she said. This is Daniel. I want you to meet him. Daniel stepped forward shyly. He was maybe 25 years old. Nervous. Hello, Mrs. Sullivan, he said. I'm Thomas's son. The room went very quiet. I stared at him, studied his face. He had Robert's eyes. The same blue-gray color. The same kindness in them. You're my grandson, I whispered. He nodded. I know you probably don't want to see me. I know what my dad did. What my mom did. But I had to come. I had to tell you something. What? Yes. My voice was barely a whisper. I'm not like them, he said. Tears filled his eyes. I'm not greedy. I'm not cruel. I don't want the money. I don't want anything except to tell you I'm sorry. Sorry for what they did. Sorry I didn't stop them. I was only 15 when it happened. I didn't know. But I should have known. I should have seen it. He was crying now. Real tears. Honest tears. I stood up slowly. My legs shook. But I walked over to him. Put my old wrinkled hands on his young smooth face. It's not your fault, I said. You were a child. Children don't choose their parents' sins. To sob. I've wanted to meet you for years. But I was scared. Scared you'd hate me. Hate what I represent. I pulled him into a hug. A grandmother's hug. The kind I should have been giving for the past 8 years but hadn't been able to. I don't hate you, I whispered. I don't hate anyone anymore. Hate is too heavy to carry when you're 85. We sat together for hours. He told me about his life. About growing up knowing his parents were in prison for murder. About the shame. About the bullying at school. About how he changed his last name so people wouldn't know who he was. But mostly he told me about how he wanted to be different. Better. He told me he'd become a nurse. Worked at a children's hospital. Helped sick kids every single day. I wanted to make up for what they did, he said. I can't bring back Grandpa Robert. But I can help other people's grandpas. Other people's families. That's all I can do. I held his hand. Robert would be so proud of you. He looked at me with those blue-gray eyes. Robert's eyes. Do you really think so? I know so, I said. 'Cause you chose love. And that's all he ever wanted. Any of us to choose love. Before Daniel left, I gave him something. Robert's watch. The one that had been ticking on my wrist for 8 years. This belonged to your grandfather, I said. He would want you to have it. Daniel's hands shook as he took it. I can't accept this. It's too valuable. Just a watch, I said. But what it represents, that's valuable. And how you choose to spend it. Spend yours helping people. Just like you've been doing. He hugged me again. Thank you, Grandma. It was the first time anyone had called me Grandma in 8 years. The sound of it made my heart hurt and heal at the same time. After he left, Amanda sat with me. You okay? She asked. Better than okay, I said. I didn't know I had a grandson. I didn't know something good came from Thomas after all. That's the thing about love, Amanda said softly. Finds a way. Even through the cracks. Even through the pain. Even when you think it's impossible. We sat in comfortable silence. The kind of silence friends can share. Finally, Amanda spoke. Mrs. Sullivan, I need to tell you something. The board wants to rename the foundation. Call it the Margaret and Robert Sullivan Foundation. You've done as much as he did. Maybe more. I shook my head. Well, it stays the Robert Sullivan Foundation. This was his dream. His money. His legacy. I just made sure it went where it needed to go. Amanda smiled. That's exactly what I told them you'd say. But they insisted I ask. Tell them I said no. But thank you for asking. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because I was worried. Not because I was in pain. I just felt complete. Like my work was done. I got out of bed and walked slowly to Robert's office. Turned on the small desk lamp. Pulled out the notebook from the garden one last time. Read his letters again. Each word felt like a kiss. Like a hug. Like him saying, "You did good, Maggie. You did so good." I wrote one final letter back to him. Dear Robert, I wrote in shaky handwriting. I'm ready now. Ready to see you again. Ready to rest. Ready to let someone else carry the torch. Kept your money safe. I turned it into love. I helped hundreds of thousands of people. I made sure your death wasn't meaningless. I made sure our story ended with hope, not hate. Daniel came to see me today. Your grandson. Thomas's boy. He's good, Robert. Really good. Kind and gentle and everything you would have wanted. He's a nurse. Helps children. Where's your watch now? Think you'd like that. The foundation will continue without me. Amanda will make sure of it. The love will keep spreading. The help will keep flowing. Your legacy will keep growing. I'm tired now, my love. Oh, tired. But it's a good tired. The kind that comes after a long day of hard work. The kind that comes after you've given everything you have to give. Wait for me, okay? I'll be there soon. And when I get there, I want you to hold me the way you did that last night. The way you did for 40 years. The way you'll do for all eternity. I love you, Robert Sullivan. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for teaching me that love always wins. Always. Every time. No exceptions. Forever yours, Maggie. I folded the letter and put it in the notebook. Closed the notebook. Put it back in the drawer. Turned off the lamp. And went to bed. 3 days later I didn't wake up. I died peacefully in my sleep. In the bed I'd shared with Robert for 40 years. In the house we'd built together. Surrounded by memories of love. The foundation didn't stop. Amanda kept it running. Daniel volunteered there every weekend. Sophie, now a physical therapist herself, joined the staff. The work continued. The love continued. At my funeral, over 1,000 people came. Families we'd helped. Volunteers who'd worked with us. Strangers who'd heard our story and been inspired. Amanda gave the eulogy. She stood at the front of the church, tears running down her face. Margaret Sullivan, she said, taught us that love is stronger than death. That goodness can grow from evil. That one person, one choice, one moment of courage can change the world. She took $25 million that could have been stolen, wasted, fought over, and turned it into 200,000 reasons to believe in humanity. She took her husband's murder and turned it into his greatest legacy. She took her son's betrayal and refused to let it make her bitter. She took her pain and turned it into purpose. That, Amanda said, is what heroes do. Not the heroes in movies. Real heroes. The ones who choose love when hate would be easier. The ones who keep going when stopping would be simpler. The ones who believe that one person can make a difference, and then prove it. They buried me next to Robert. Our gravestones matching. His said, "He loved well." Mine said, "She loved better." Daniel planted roses between our graves. Red roses, Robert's favorite. And every year, on the anniversary of Robert's death, the foundation holds a memorial service.